me cut a little video, go over it again. Um, so what we do when we go over this is just see that on the bottom, right, we see that shame is 20 on the chart of vibrational frequencies as the vibration moves. That shame's goes into humiliation, the inevitable, infallible humiliation, miserable. Self is despising and elimination. And as you can see this chart, it is self-explanatory. Um, and I had mentioned on the video as I talked about it, which was correct. And I'm sorry that this wasn't recorded on this chart didn't pop up. It just didn't. As you can see, the guilt, apathy, and grief are the survival paradigm, definitely lower chakras. And the observation of consciousness is always look as a negative paradigm when you look at it. You're looking at humiliation, blame, despair, regret, and then the is at the moment through that created by this created mindset. You create miserable, evil, hopeless, tragic, and the God's part of it is despising, vindictive, condemning, and disdainful. Wow, that goes into that yo way or that ya way, the demiurge over there, and despondency being the pure consciousness, which is a very enslavement, withdrawal. I'm reading from top to bottom on this one. Um, Despondency, abdiction, destruction, elimination, everything in that mindset, in that frequency, always appears to be at the very condemning lower frequency. As we get up to 200, we start seeing the raising of consciousness, hope, and everything in this frequency now becomes collective and affirming and building instead of despondence, fear, apathy, despair, hopelessness, vindictive, and all the negative aspects that don't build but actually devolute, not evolution, creates a devolution or devolution, but a devolution, a downward. When you take the di means die in etymology, right? So you're taking the d I, and then you're which is die or dive or divide, right? Divide, die. So what we see here, there's and all of it is because you're even starting to look at divine. This would be 200 and above, right? You're starting to elevate from one destiny to higher destinies within this chart. And as you can see, you start hitting 200 to 400. You're starting to hit the change. You even see that the change is coming between the pride and the courage at 175 to 200. You see even a change of the color of the yellow starts to play out of the orange. You're starting to get the sunshine out of the orange sunshine of despondency and anger and desire. Remember, all these can be taken because you can see yourself even deep dive if you're like I said on the video today, that when you look at it, you see that you really were in a place to all this can be transmuted into higher forms, into the 200 and above. But the reality of it is you're operating from a lower self nature, which is connected to tragedy, frightening, disappointment. Everything is like bondage mindset or a dungeon program running in that. I get dungeon programming from Archaics. That's the programming that he uses. He says dungeon programming. So as you see, we get to 200 and above, you start seeing you're having affirmations, feasible, permitting, empowerment, and then on from neutrality to trust, satisfactory, and then up all the way to the top, which you start dealing with in between. And in a lighter blue from green, you have reason, understanding, meaningful, wise, abstraction. You're starting to see nuances then, because abstractions kind of goes where you see the truth within the nuance, not necessarily something so one pole to the other. You're seeing the nuances start speaking to you. That's where that's the I the third eye that nobody catches unless it's activated. You start seeing the abstraction. That's kind of like the nuance. Of course, love, reverence, benign. Benign means you're not sick when you're dealing with tumors. Loving, you're bringing forth the love, not indifferent, not condemning like the lower aspects. And see, we've touched this, and there's even parts of this lower that you still may visit. I was listening to somebody who really was bringing great videos, and they said they go to apathy, and I go, dang, it's 50, and that's the place of training not to go to, but that's would be their bottom point. I see mine not so much into any of the bottom points. Mine would be anger. Not really into when I look at that, not really in apathy, guilt, shame. I kind of got over that when coming out of the church. Grief times. I'm going to be honest, especially with I start thinking in the past. This is revisiting your your memories, which there's a differentiation of you can go into grief over the memories of loved ones or important ones, maybe if you haven't seen them in 2 and 3 decades, which sometimes I visit at times when I really can get empathetic and go through these memory visitations, especially for loved ones that are really close to me that died young. And I can name them all: grandparents, cousins, uncles that I was very close to. But the reality is I chose to ride that ride. And that's when I can kind of go into that. I don't go really into grief. Grief would be the lowest, I guess. A little bit of grief, mostly anger. Apathy, no. Guilt, no. Shame, not really. I'd work my mindset to stay in the acceptance, willingness mindset, loving, caring, permitting, and all this stuff that serves us and builds us up, not dives us down. There's a time we purposely came here diving, deep diving, right? Because we'll say you got a deep dive, but remember, this whole thing is a scale of you, even the lower parts, because which is above is which is below. So if we put this as a tree, we might want to start right here at courage as we see the tree manifested beautiful up, but the roots, which the lower self, goes down. So there's got to be a healing and watering of those other roots. And this is also a type of showing you above there's a transformation, below it had to be transformed to go to the above and bloom. So I'll stop there because you can watch the other video, but this is the chart I really wanted to share and speak a little bit about it. This is the chair that you can, something you can keep, download, take a picture of, however you want to do with this. And then you can use this for your measuring stick, your measuring tool, if you'd like. Something to keep you when you start in your awareness and you see these points that you might feel some things. And then you can even say, hey, I'm really feeling I'm being more forgiving. Maybe you struggled with it, and I feel more harmonious. And then your God view is merciful instead of judgmental. And then you're learning a process. This is the process that's going to take you to the higher levels, is learning to transcend things, not bypass things. So, all right.